Work it, work it, work it, work it. Oh, hey everybody. I was just practicing my modeling stuff because everybody knows you have to look like and be a supermodel to make it in acting, right? No, of course you don't. Welcome to Facebook Live, Acting from All Angles. My name is Julianne Lichty, and we are going to be talking about branding and types of actors today. But first, let me introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. As I said, Julianne Lichty Stratton is my name. I'm the creator of Actors in Action Professional Acting Training. And I have an acting school where I help actors become completely free of worry about acting. I help them create their own fail-proof process so they can go and audition or book anything and feel really confident and fantastic. So this is a little supplemental thing that I do on Friday afternoons to talk about acting from all angles. And what I see is there are 5 things that we need to worry about for acting to make it. And that is appearance, business, craft, emotional stability, and financial stability. All right, those are the 5 things. I'm thinking that A, B, C, E, F's of acting. I'm thinking I might have found a D for acting. Can anybody guess what that might be? What would the D be? Those are the pillars for making it in acting. But first, I want to check in about last week. So last week we talked about actors and meditation. And I'm curious if anybody did their 7-day acting challenge. Hey, Mary's on. Hi there, Mary. Did anybody do that? If you're online, if you want to comment, tell me how it went. I did it pretty well. I pretty much did it every day and every night. And it did help to be more focused as an actor and to be more in touch with myself. So we'll talk about that more. We're certainly going to revisit that part of the emotional fitness for acting. All right, so today we're going to talk about types and branding. All right, we're just going to touch base on it. We're not going to get super, super deep. These talks are just for us to touch the surface and give you some links and have you figure it out and come back and see if there's more questions that you have about it. All right, so let's start off with talking actually about my favorite thing, one of my favorite things in life, and it has completely to do with branding and type, and that is story. So acting, the reason we're actors, the reason that we want to be involved in this in whatever way that we are, either acting, directing, producing, writing, whatever, is because we want to tell stories, right? Okay, so think about it. Not every story out there is about Ken and Barbie, right? It's not just about pretty people. There certainly are some stories like that, and there's certainly certain genres that lend to that more, and that's fun and that's nice. But look at all the stories in the world. Look at all the people in the world. There are so many different types of people, and there are so many different stories to be told and have been told with all these different types. My husband and I have been binge watching, hey Jacob's here, have been binge watching Breaking Bad. We just finished it last night, and I didn't really see any Ken or Barbies in that story. Skylar looked a little Barbie-ish, right? But did she act like Barbie? Not really. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to figure out what type we are, all right? So there's lots of different types, and the best way to find out what type you are is to do your own research. Watch some movies, watch some TV, see if there's anybody who looks like you there. Like, oh yeah, I kind of look like her, or I'm sort of like that. So write that, and jot it down. Maybe keep a little notebook. Jot it down. Who do I look like? Who do I resemble? And what kind of movies? Am I the kind of type that's more, I see my type in indie movies? Or do I see myself up there, people that look like me on sitcoms or feature films? There's so many different things out there. So just start taking notes. And then the next thing you can do is you can ask friends. You can say, hey, You know, if I was in a movie, what if you were casting and you were going to cast me in a movie, what kind of movie would you cast me in, and who would you cast me as? Would you cast me as the lead? Would you cast me as the ingenue? Would you cast me as the grumpy person next door? What would you do? And see what they say. And you can also ask them, you know, how do you see me? What are some adjectives that you feel describe me? You can also do that for yourself, but it helps to get an outside view. You can ask your acting teacher. You could ask people you trust, just different people. I'm getting love hearts. Thanks, guys. Just ask people and ask them, you know, so if you had to describe me in 3 adjectives, what would they be? Happy, you know, snappy, beautiful, whatever it is, just ask them. Lorenzo is sending me lots of love. Thanks, Lorenzo. Love you too. So go ahead and do that. Ask them, ask around, and then write it down and funnel it out and figure it out. And then also notice, like, what is my type wear when you're watching these TV shows, when you're watching movies? What does my type wear? Oh, okay. And maybe you can start wearing stuff like that to auditions. You can start presenting yourself in that way a little bit more. Branding can go super, super deep. And I'm going to give you a few links, of course, to where you can get a little bit deeper with this. Branding can be, branding's really a message. It's something that you're saying to the casting director, hey, this is what I'm like. Because they're trying to find people that are going to fit into certain roles. Now, some people are like, well, if I brand myself, is that going to typecast me? Is that going to make people just go, oh, you know, they're just good for this kind of role or that kind of role? Are they going to do that? As actors, we want to think that we're versatile. We want to think that we can do all these different roles, so we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves. So if you brand yourself, if you type yourself, it doesn't mean you're just going to play one kind of role, especially if you have some versatility with your acting. But still, it's good. It's like you're giving somebody a handle. You're like, hey, this is what I would be good being cast in. And they're like, oh yeah, they can see it. It helps translate it for them. So you can really start to work on that and figure it out. Of course, the bottom line with an audition is your acting. If your acting is fabulous, then that might go, make them go, they weren't exactly the type we were looking for, but wow, let's cast them. I have a quick story actually about Jennifer Lawrence. I was listening to something she was talking about with her role for Winterbone, which really launched her career. She went to the audition and they didn't cast her. They didn't call her back or anything. And she knew when the callbacks were, so she crashed the callbacks. And then she, again, didn't get a call back from that. I'm not sure if they didn't think she was the right type or if maybe her acting wasn't up to par, which is hard to imagine, but everybody has bad days or off days or may not quite get what they're doing at the beginning. So she went to New York. She found out the final callbacks were in New York. She went to New York. She crashed that callback. She'd taken the red eye. She was super tired. And so she really brought to the role what they were looking for, and she got cast in it. And if you've seen that movie, she is sensational in it. Talk about playing your verbs. Talk about being connected emotionally. Personally, I can't watch anybody but her on that screen half the time because she's so riveting, and she was so perfect for that role. So you may surprise the casting people. You may surprise yourself. The bottom line is, certainly we want to know what our type is because it helps us work on things, but we want to also have our acting be fantastic. So I'm going to drop off to you a couple of links before we wrap up here for you to look at with your branding. First one is from Backstage. It's just about how to find your branding. The second one is, I don't think it's from Backstage, it's from The Prepared Performer. I'm going to put that in there. It's 5 ways to determine your type. And then here's a little video from Amy Jo Berman, or as I like to call her, Amy Jobberman, because if you do her stuff, you get jobs. She's really brilliant. Super brilliant. So that's a little video on that. And then I found this little thing online called Typecast Me. I haven't checked it out, but it looks kind of fun. You just send them your headshot and they send you back, I think it's $5. They send you back something and tell you what roles you would be good in. And then lastly, there's one super little fun thing. It's a very silly thing. It's a little quiz you can take about what kind of actor you are. So that's just a fun thing to do. I want to just say, I want to read just a couple of things really quick, right as we're wrapping up here. So somebody from LA is saying, a casting director, his name is Brad Gilmore. He says, when you audition for me, and this is kind of talking against typecasting or casting, branding yourself, but it's talking for really good acting. He says, when you audition for me, I'd rather not have you try to trick me into thinking you're this or that type. I want to see someone who has prepared extensively to bring the role to himself or herself. I love that. Prepared extensively to bring the role to himself or herself. You're not going in there playing a character, being kooky or anything like that. You're letting it come through you. He continues to say, if you're presenting a brand, you're pulling up a barrier between us, and I can't get to know the real you. It's not acting. It's a sales pitch. I'm not buying. So that's food for thought with that. I think branding to a certain degree is really helpful and really great, but ultimately it comes down to your acting and how well you can bring yourself to that role. Okay, everybody, I'd love to hear any comments you have about this, about branding, about type, about not having to be a supermodel to make it in acting. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you next week, Facebook Live, Acting from All Angles. And let's see if we can come up, or you can guess what I think our ABCDE would be in our ABC equation for acting success. Have a great one. I'll see you soon.